Welcome to Hillmantok University Photography 101. I'm Danny Harris, your professor, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start off talking about composition and rule of thirds. Rule of thirds is basically a grid that divides your frame up into 9 parts, and you align your subject or your main subject either at an intersection on that grid or along a line. So let me show you some examples. Here's one example. As you can see, the subject is at the top right corner, but on the intersection, and you have the ability to see the rest of her dress in the beautiful background. Here's another example. This was done in studio, and as you can see, once again, the subject's face is aligned with the intersection in the top right corner, giving us the ability to see her legs and give that drama effect that we were looking for. And here's a photo of a hot air balloon. As you can see, it's on the opposite side of the grid, but it makes for a beautiful photo because you have the opportunity to see the beautiful skies. Now that I've shown you those examples, I want to point out that I'm actually recording this video in rules of thirds. So I'm on the left-hand side of the intersection. While you can see my background, the focus is still on me. So it makes for great videos, photos, and when you're doing any type of art to follow along with the rule of thirds. Now, the rule of thirds doesn't always apply depending on what type of artistry you're looking to do, but to get started, I highly recommend this is what you start with. So now I'm going to show you on the camera how it appears. And again, you should have already went through the video of the orientation and know how to pull up your manual for your camera. So I'm going to show you from the Sony perspective how it looks. Now, as you can see, the camera already shows the grid. Okay, you should have the ability on any camera that you have that's not a point and shoot to be able to add the grid. This is a Sony camera, so in the menu settings, under display and auto review, I can go here and add the grid line, or I can take it away, okay? So it should be set at rules of thirds for your grid on your display in your camera, okay? You will see this grid not only on the screen, but you'll see it in the viewfinder as well. You probably can't see it through the camera, but it's just giving you a visual of what I'm speaking of. As you can see also on the iPhone, I have the grid on my phone. Yes, I'm extra because when I take a picture, I take a picture. So you can actually add this as well in your settings. So under your settings, you're going to go to camera. And when you scroll down, you'll see it has composition. I have my grid level, I mirror my front camera, and I look at the outside frame as well to make sure I'm not missing anything, but the grid is an option for you to turn off and on. The level is a good feature to have on your phone to take photos because it'll let you know if you have the phone tilted or not, okay? So that is also a good feature to have on the camera. All right, so in conclusion about composition, make sure you start off with rule of thirds. Rule of thirds is going to be your best friend when beginning to learn photography. So next up, we're going to talk about lighting. Natural light is your best friend. Now, you will see me shooting with flash, in which we call it off-camera flash. So don't pay that any attention. That's something you can add to your style later on. We're going to talk about natural light. Natural light can be your worst enemy or your best friend, but for the most part, your best friend. The best time to shoot when you're outside is during golden hour. Golden hour is when the sun is rising or when the sun is setting. Another great time to shoot outside is when it's an overcast. Yes. When the clouds are out, baby, it's beautiful. And why? Because the clouds act as a natural diffuser. So it evens out the light no matter where the sun is in the sky. It evens out the light and you can shoot almost anywhere, okay? So those are the 3 best times to shoot outside. You want to make sure that you avoid hard light because you can't bring that back in editing, right? If that sun is beaming in your subject's face, they're going to have white spots, and we call them hot spots, that you're not going to be able to repair in the photo, and it's just going to throw it off. A lot of times it's better just to go under a shaded tree where your subject is facing the sun, but the sun isn't hitting the subject directly, right? So we'll talk about that later on in the class, but understand the 3 best times to shoot outside are sun up, sundown, and overcast. Now, if you have no choice but to shoot in broad daylight, you just have no choice. A lot of times there's games and other things going on that's in broad daylight and you want to take pictures of. That's where you use your camera settings that I'm going to teach you in order to control that light. Okay, here are some examples of golden hour, and I have one picture with harsh lighting. This picture was taken at sunset, which is also considered golden hour. This picture was also taken at golden hour. As you can see, the light is behind her, and I was actually using a fill light. We'll talk about that later to make sure the shadows were diminished. Here's another example of a golden hour shot that was taken. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is harsh light. Now you can see the obvious difference between the other photos and this photo. This photo is very unattractive in the way that the light is hitting the client's face. Now, that may have been a lot of information for some of you because you're new to it. It may be information that you already heard if you're not new. But what I want you to do, you do have homework, okay? One thing I want you to know is how to locate your ISO, aperture, and shutter speed on your camera. Again, you're supposed to have downloaded or located the online manual for your camera, so just do a search, find a control find, whatever, and find these settings so that you can easily access them for the next class. The next thing is you have homework. Sure do, you have homework. Before I give you that homework, I'm going to touch on the very last thing, which is storytelling. Your photo needs to say something. Your photo needs to be meaningful, okay? So, example, we have a lot of women that come in after divorces or after a significant weight loss or after battling cancer. So their photos mean something. Their photos hit differently, right? Because they're on top of the world. They're celebrating themselves, and it needs to reflect that. Let me show you some examples. Here's an example. Her name is Joy. Joy won her fight with breast cancer, and she brought along a photo to make sure that you could see the clear difference between when she was fighting and when she's celebrating life. And this is what celebrating 30 looks like. It shouldn't be a plain shot and you just standing there. This is a momentous occasion, and she's celebrating it well. And why wouldn't you celebrate graduation? This young lady incorporated her father, who passed away during her time while she was in school, into her photo, basically telling him in a way, Daddy, I did it. So you need to be able to express what you're trying to say through your photos. Now, I know most of you don't have a camera, or some of you don't have a camera, and some of you don't know how to load the photos to put them on the website. No worries, use your camera phone. Using the things that I've taught you today, take photos and upload them to that link that I sent you. I'm going to go throughout the week and critique them, give you some feedback as much as I can, and just prepare yourself for the next class. You need to know where your aperture is, your ISO, and your shutter speed. Go back and view the orientation and the syllabus so that you know exactly how to locate it. Thank you for attending your first class. I can't wait to meet up with you guys next week. Talk to you later.